we've talked about this before in your debates and discussions, where you were explaining in a debate. I'm not going to mention names. There's no need for that. But you were talking about how red pill, you approach it as a praxeology, not an ideology, correct?
Correct.
So you draw whatever like empirical data that's gathered on the ground regarding the sociological behaviors between men and women and their pair bonding and so forth.
Mhm.
So in that same regard, can't you not treat the black pill in the same way? Because yes, black pill people are very fatalistic. They have many kufri ideas that go against Islam. Many of them are atheistic, and they even call religion a cope. But in the same regard, red pill people are also very degenerate. They encourage zina, dating, and so forth. So can't we not extract empirical evidences or empirical how do you say praxeological facts on the ground from the
Okay.
black pill while maintaining an Islamic view?
Yes. So for those who don't understand what black pill is, please can you give a specific example? So give a general idea of what black pill is, and then give a specific example of something you would like to discuss. It could be height, for example.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Height is a pretty good example. I mean, that's a standard that even the normies can agree on. Height is a very crucial thing, and it's something you cannot change, basically. So yeah, like basically, women tend to be, as you know, obviously, women are very hypergamous, and pair bonding, naturally speaking, is based on assortative mating. So that, like, a female would prefer someone stronger than her, like more powerful than her, taller than her specifically. So obviously, height is just the most basic one, but there's other factors that come into play, obviously, such as looks in general.
Right. So black pill, just for those of you in the chat who are asking, what is black pill? Is essentially that the game has been rigged right off the start. If you don't meet certain physical metrics, physical requirements,
Mm,
height, looks, jawline, abs, that sort of stuff, then
mm.
basically your chances of bagging a woman are next to none. Would you say that's a correct synopsis?
I mean, it's kind of an exaggeration because, like, the major difference between a Muslim who is looking at this from a reformed standpoint would be to
Mhm.
seek solutions. Because we don't think that looks are the end all be all. However, they do play a significant role, especially in a materialistic society. Because I believe Islam is the solution to a large extent. If you look at poor Muslim countries, and I won't name specific countries for the sake of the live stream, but you can find someone who's like a very poor, ugly, scrawny farmer who has like 4 wives and 30 kids who are obedient to him. You know, within an Islamic system, they don't have that materialistic look, but within the Western scope where it's consumed by atheism and there's no lack of any, there's no religious cohesiveness or any spiritual values, they'll be reduced to biological beasts who seek looks. I mean, that becomes my main point is without Islamic spirituality and without Islamic law, the black pill world that they're complaining about becomes a reality.
Okay. So what's your suggested solution then? Before I give my answer, what's your suggestion?
My suggestion, honestly, would be not to seek marriage in the West, plain and simple. Because and I'll be honest with you, from my own personal experience and from the experience of my friends, because I've gone through a period of like getting close to apostasy. Alhamdulillah, Allah saved me from this. But there was a period where I was very liberal and progressive in my thinking, and I was open to Western ideas and so forth. And when I went to the West, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty much screwed. I thought my best option for marriage is to come back home to a more traditional country and have my parents help me out because that's how it's always been done in traditional lands. And in the West, my chances are zero. My chances of finding like a more traditional woman in the West is just slim to none.
All right. Why do you say that? Why is it slim to none for you? Based upon what?
I mean, not obviously experience. You may argue that you can dismiss that as an anecdote, but I mean, Western societies, yeah, I mean, obviously they're much worse in terms of social traditionalism, and they're more
Okay,
materialistic. There's just no way. Not just that, but the laws they play
Yusuf,
a heavy hand because
Yusuf,
you in
Yusuf,
Western lands.
Habibi, 1 second.
Yes.
I have a question for you. How
Sure.
many sisters have you approached so far?
In the West, I don't want to disclose any specific numbers, but in the West, I did have a few encounters with them.
Okay.
In the East, my parents hooked me up with a few possible candidates, and here my options seem more viable. That's all I can say, honestly.
Listen, Yusuf, you don't have to give me, you don't need to tell me who they are. I just need to know a number. How many sisters have you actually had a conversation with from a viewpoint of pursuing marriage? How many exactly?
In most of my chances were in Egypt, so I would say around like just as potential, just looking through potential candidates, I would say like 5 or so. In
5
Egypt.
in Egypt. And in the West, how many?
In the West, I've asked around, and I've honestly couldn't find anything. Just being brutally honest with you. Yeah,
Okay.
and I've not just through myself, but even through my friends, and they're struggling to get married there.
Okay. And how many of your friends did you ask?
I'd say 5 friends or 4 friends in the UK.
Okay, Yusuf, that is absolutely pathetic. That's absolutely pathetic, brother. If you were on my live stream 2 days ago, I gave the example of being a realtor. Okay, in real estate, if you just watch a real estate program, it's actually mad the hustle they have to go through to sell these homes. And in the e-com world, a good conversion rate of sales is 2 to 4%. For every 100 people that actually see your advert, what is considered as a good conversion rate is 2 to 4%. That means you are going to have to speak to 100 people to potentially sell your product to 2 to 4 people. Now, if you have spoken to just 5 people, 5 sisters in Egypt, and 5 friends, not even sisters, here in the UK, you are still operating at the 0 range. So this is my suggestion to you. Yes, I
understand that you're trying to argue that it's a numbers game. I understand where you're coming from, but
I'm coming. I do accept certain black pill tenets. I do. For example, we had Sister Hannah on the other day. She thought 40% of all men are over 6 foot, and I had to straighten that fact out for her. Less than 14% of men are over 6 foot. Less than 3% are over 6 foot too, right? And they just don't. It's for reasons unbeknownst.
Have you seen the female delusion calculator?
I haven't, but
that website?
Let me finish.
Okay.
So I do accept, Brother Yusuf, that if you're not 6'2", if you don't have the Brad Pitt jawline, if you don't have a certain look about you, that it will be more difficult. Yes, I get it. With that being the case, then you are going to have to go through the numbers. And for those black pill guys who say, oh, going through the numbers doesn't work, I will only take that from someone who's black pill, who has spoken to more than 100 sisters for the purpose of marriage. Once you find me a brother who's had more than 100 encounters with sisters and still is at a conversion rate of 0, then I'll be willing to entertain that discussion. So to answer your question, Brother Yusuf, yes, I accept fundamentally that certain black pill tenets, they do hold their weight. Some men are going to find it easier to get married than others. Guess what? Some women are going to find it easier to get married than others. I had a sister in my inbox the other day. She asked me, do I know any brothers looking to get married? But then, Jazakallah khair, she made it very clear. She said, I suffer from PCOS. PCOS, I can't remember, polycystic what? Polycystic ovaries, where basically it's almost impossible that she will ever be able to conceive, right? So a sister like that is going to be less desirable to brothers than a sister who is able to conceive easily. So we're both struggling. Men and women are struggling out here, bro.
But I mean, you can't equalize it. Like, you can't argue that we're both equal in our struggles. Obviously, women are the cherished prizes of men. They're sought after more than men. Like, it's false equivocation if you equate them.
No, I'm not equating the two. Yes, women are the taken care of sex. They are the more vulnerable sex to begin with, and they are given more leave. I get all of that. I accept all of that. So what I'll say to you is this: if you prefer to look in Egypt, fine, go look in Egypt. No problem. It's your preference. It's your choice. But to write off the West completely based purely on black pill tenets under the understanding of women, you know, they're only looking for the 6 foot Brad Pitt jawline guy. Well, I'll accept that from someone who's spoken to 100 women plus. Then I will accept to have a conversation with him.
But I'll be honest, like I think honestly, people who are considered within the normie range, I'm sure you're familiar with the rating system that they show.
Most people understand. Yes, I'm familiar. Normie. Yeah. Carry on.
I mean, it's okay if you want to explain it, but like basically, normie means someone who's like, if you're familiar with the 1 to 10 rating system, a normie would be like between a 5 or a 6, I believe. Whereas someone who's like in terms of looks, and obviously you could put in other factors into play such as status and so forth, but in terms of looks, they're usually between the 5 and 6. That's the normie range. So yeah, I mean, if you have a lot of potential as a normie. Like if you're above a 5, so to speak, you can improve. Like in terms of working out, improve your physique, improve your financial status, improve your social skills. So there's a lot that you can take advantage of. But at some point, I honestly believe that after a certain threshold, if you're below a 5, then your chances are just ruined. I'm just being brutally honest with you, because I honestly believe that some people, no matter what they do, like especially in a Western world, or especially in a more liberalized, materialistic world, their chances are zero.
Okay, I will answer that for you. I'll say to you this: black pill guys,
Yeah,
they like to focus on the guys who are 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10 on this rating system. Yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah.
just as the 9 out of 10s and 10 out of 10s are an extreme minority, guess what? The 1 out of 10s and the 2 out of 10s are also extreme minorities as well. And there's a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a quirk of human nature that likes to focus on something. The less likely something is to happen, or the less likely something is, the more we like to focus on it. Now, I'm
Yeah.
not disputing that these people exist, and yes, they will find it harder. Yes, they will find it harder. And maybe if they've gone through the numbers and they've spoken to many sisters, and that they've done 100 women, maybe it is a good idea for them to go abroad and seek their opportunities elsewhere. But I will say this, brother,
Yes.
I will say this, that the great equalizer for high looks and all of that is you becoming successful at whatever it is you do. That is the great equalizer, because resources trump all. Now, I know a lot of black pill guys have a problem with that. Oh, she wants me just for my money. Bro, she wants all of us for our money. If you are not providing, if you're not providing as a man, you're useless. Make peace with it. We're like batteries. Provide,
Yeah.
protect. For women, it's not that much more romantic either. Comfort, nurture. That's basically it.
Yeah.
That's it.
But I'll be honest with you, like
Did you hear that?
as the world, I understand where you're coming from, but
Yusuf,
yeah, like yes, I can
men are batteries and women are comfort pillows. That's what we are.
Yeah, I honestly agree with you, but like there's one little point I want to make. Obviously, I agree with what you have to say, like at a practical level, but at the same time, as the world veers more towards economic inequality and more towards materialism, and spirituality diminishes, it just becomes difficult just by the pure fact that it's only like 10% of men who are like financially attractive enough for a woman. Like just there's no way around it. Like most men, and honestly, I believe that Islam as a social system should help the common man. Yes, we should do. I'm not like advocating for someone being a deadbeat. Like no one should be like lazy. Like no one's advocating for that. You should do whatever you can do within your power to improve your financial status. But some people, no matter what they do, they're not cut out for it. There's just no way around it. Like some people, even in terms of IQ, some people, no matter what they. Hello?
Yeah, hold on 1 second. You said some people, no matter what they do, they're just not cut out for it. And like I said to you, bro, first and foremostly, even if those individuals existed, which they don't, because I'm going to answer you, they would be a tiny minority of the population. Secondly, I told you what the great equalizer is: become successful.
But I mean, in terms of money, they're not a minority. I mean, look at statistically speaking, like around 50% of Americans make $30,000 per year. That's not a lot of money. Even women, they wouldn't even marry someone making 70,000 or 60,000, and that's the salary of a teacher, for example. Like women are extremely hypergamous. Especially in the US, they'd be seeking a salary of around like 100,000.
So Yusuf, these are your choices. These are your options as a man who perhaps has not been. I'm not speaking about you specifically now. I'm saying if you are a man who has not been dealt, a good genetic hand in terms of your looks and your finances and so on, take that as fuel and become excellent at whatever it is you do, and make sure you're working on your character as well, because a lot of black pill guys, they don't understand the art of seduction. I'm gonna be honest with you. They don't understand that you infect a woman with your being. And the issue I have with the black pill sphere is that if you are relentlessly consuming that type of depressing content, it's going to overtake your mind, overwhelm your mind, and you will start projecting that energy into the world. That negative, nihilistic energy starts coming off, and then women will, guess what, reciprocate accordingly, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. A self-fulfilling prophecy, downward spiral. So yes, I accept in principle that if you are not genetically blessed, or worse still, you're genetically really far off, then it's going to be harder for you. This is just the way the cookie crumbles. It's up to you what you decide to do with it, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, Yusuf?
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of nuance, and all I'm seeking, and I'm not seeing this on any Muslim platform, to be honest with you, is that obviously I'm against any sort of fatalism as a Muslim. It's even arguably kufr, like as Jacob says in Surah Yusuf, لا ييأس قوم من روح الله إلا قوم كافرون. No one gives up on Allah except the disbelieving people. So it's Islamically, it doesn't make sense for someone to be fatalistic. However, like I'm just seeking a reformed take on the black pill without all the fatalism, a more practical take, and provide solutions as well. I'm like I seek solutions, and especially in this case, like I would call it Islamic geomaxing. Geomaxing, for those of you who don't know, means basically people who are in like living in the West and in more materialistic societies and more difficult and expensive societies, their chances are better in other like countries, especially third world countries. So I think these are viable options that should be.
Do what you got to do, Yusuf. Do what you got to do. It's like a business. If you okay, I was just having this discussion with my barbers today, and we were talking about how there's so much potential, untapped potential in Africa. The problem is in Africa, the whole continent is corrupt too, basically, and it's very difficult to do business there. But he was saying, like, for example, you could literally take a fridge business, simple idea, to a remote village in Africa, set it up, and then you will be the monopoly fridge provider in that village. You become a millionaire. Such a simple idea. Why? Because there's no competition. So, bro, if you feel that you want to go abroad and you think that increases your opportunities to get married, so be it. But I will tell you this, Yusuf, you have not tried hard enough, and I will suggest that's because you're scared of being rejected. And we all fear rejection. Don't get it twisted now. We all fear rejection, but it's a necessary part of the process. Now, I've heard some black pill guys say, "Oh, that's just going to further consolidate your what you knew about what you know about the black pill. Is going to hurt bruise your ego further." Grow a freaking pair of balls, man. Honestly, go through
I'm against. I have no fear of rejection.
I'm not saying you grow a pair of balls, brother. I'm speaking generally, right?
Okay.
Bro, have you ever done a sales job? Have you ever done sales?
No.
Okay, you need to do a sales job, brother. I want you to go and knock 1,000 doors a day, 2,000 doors a day. I used to door knock. I've done a number of different sales jobs, but one of them was door knocking for Anglian home improvements. Now, you can imagine if you have someone come to your door knocking to sell you windows, how are you going to feel? You've just gotten up, you haven't had your breakfast yet, you're annoyed, and I'm at the door trying to sell you windows for £10,000. How do you feel, Yusuf?
Yeah, obviously I would be annoyed, but yeah, like personally, I do stand by the way, just to be clear.
Yeah, right. So, but this is my point. We had to go through that over and over and over, and for every 100 doors, maybe we'd get one person, one appointment. Very depressing. But you build a thick skin. You build a thick skin, and I find a lot of these black pill content creators don't know what it feels like to have a thick skin. They just don't know. Get a sales job, get rejected. Go through the process, brother. Thicken your skin. It will make.
I mean, like if you look at like the avenues that the disbelievers have, obviously marriage is always the superior system. But if you look at the avenues that they have, what do they have? Girlfriend, boyfriend type relationships, which deteriorate very easily. In terms of cold approaches, if someone is ugly, he'll be considered harassing the woman if he's cold approaching too many women. And if he's warm approaching, he's poisoning his own well, so to speak. Because if he's, let's say, a work environment or a university, and he's known to be like approaching multiple women, for example, to seek marriage, would be considered a creep. So I mean, like these types of, even online is worse because you know how the dating algorithms work. So I mean, across the board, it's difficult. And this is why Islam should be presented as the solution for the black people.
Hold on. What you are doing is you're regurgitating black pill tenets, okay? But you yourself have not experienced this. For example, the poisoning of the well. I've heard wheat waffles talk about that, but you yourself have not actually experienced whether that is true or not. And the only way you will know for sure, brother Yusuf, is by going out there and finding out for yourself. Find out for yourself. But you haven't knocked 100 doors, Yusuf. You need to knock 100 doors, my brother. Habibi, I need to bring someone else on.
Final question. Will you debate wheat waffles? Final question.
I have called him out so many times, and either he doesn't see my content or he chooses to ignore me. I have called him out many times, but I've seen him. The thing with black pill guys is that any exposure is good exposure, and I'm worried that people I'm willing to do it. Okay, I'm willing to do it. That's the bottom line. Okay, Yusuf?
All right. Jazakallah khair. All right.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum.